Isis, Shalom, Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam. Excuse me. Try to get right into it. So I've been seeing double numbers like crazy. Okay? And I'm gonna kind of prove it to you even in this video. Numbers, I think, is how God talks, or it's the God code, or it has to do with gematria. And you could be taught it, but there's also subtleties that if you listen to, it's instinctive also. So, and for instance, obviously 777. But in case you don't realize it, I believe this is one of these play on numbers videos by KTLA. I'm sure if you broke that down somehow, it's going to relate even to you this somehow. But look, 5 here, 5 here, 5, 5. And what's ironic is I think my friend, I don't know if it was Lord Epic or Ramel or just someone else who said they keep seeing the numbers 55. And what's funny is that this whole video that I'm about to show you is riddled with 55. But see, 4, 1, 5, 5, 5, 7, 7, 7, obviously. See the 4, 1, that's 5, 5 right there, right? And check out the time. 2, obviously it's 4, 4. And what I mean by time, double time, like for instance, I keep seeing 10:33 or 8:08 or it's 11:11 or it's 11:10 or you know, those times. I keep seeing, I keep catching the times or numbers adding up to this. Like today when I walked in my door, I walked in at exactly 4:44 because when I open a door, as soon as you open a door, there's a clock right in front of you. And it's reading out whatever you, as soon as you look forward, it's reading out. And it was 4:44. And I'm like, see, there it goes again. So what's funny about this is I'm going to play some Daffy Duck stuff for you. Get ready, folks. It's coming. It's here. I think it hasn't hit home yet. People are going to go shopping thinking that, oh, man, they got us so convinced. You know what? I'm going to play this video first before I start commenting. Check this out. Check this out.
On this day right after Thanksgiving, unfortunately, the COVID-19 case numbers are not looking good. And just yesterday alone on the holiday, health officials here in the county are saying that 37 people died. And those numbers for positivity cases are just continuing to skyrocket. Now, the mayor has sounded the alarm, and he's asking everyone in the city as well as county health officials saying that we need to help flatten the curve. As COVID-19 cases continue to surge on this Black Friday, hospitals, including Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, are treating more people with the virus.
They're starting to see an increase in the number of COVID patients that are being treated in the emergency room and released, as well as the ones who are
Smith. He's a Smith.
being admitted to the hospital.
LA County health officials say 1 out of every 145 people will be infected. In the U.S.,
So look. 5, 5, 6, 1, 1, 1, 1. That's 4. You put that together, it's 10. Split it, you got 5, 5. When you got this whole number, 55. This adds up to 2, but that doesn't go up with what I'm saying as far as just the 5 5s. One of my friends said about the 5 5s. All of a sudden, we're just seeing it. I'm just seeing it everywhere. But also, just let me finish playing this video real quick. I'm sorry.
are more than 110,000 new cases. There were more than 5,000 new cases in LA County yesterday alone, and new cases are on track to quadruple by Christmas. However, there's a glimmer of hope on the horizon. Cedars-Sinai Medical Center is one of the first hospitals in the state and country preparing to receive doses of COVID vaccines.
So we will be amongst the first to receive the new Pfizer vaccine.
Does it with a
This
smile.
vaccine requires ultra cold storage at minus 80 degrees Celsius.
Ultra.
It's a two-dose vaccine, so meaning there is a dose at day 1.
Gandhi. In case anyone knows that name. Yeah. Ooh, and this name's, oh, anyway, I'm not going to get, anyway. Yeah, she's just explaining the stages, sorry.
And a dose at day 21. And the first dose
There's ultra cold storage.
Ultra cold
at
storage.
minus 80 degrees Celsius.
That's supposed to make you feel good.
dose vaccine, so meaning there is a dose at day 1 and a dose at day 21. And the first dose is again to help our body build immunity, and the second dose is to strengthen that immunity.
In general, doctors say a vaccine can prevent a disease, minimize chances of contracting a disease, or if someone becomes ill, it can reduce severity of symptoms.
What's really important to know is that all of the vaccine development in the United States with regards to COVID do not contain any infectious particles.
Cedars-Sinai says they have plenty of PPE equipment to last at least 6 months or even more in the face of a surge to keep patients and staff safe. Mayor Eric Garcetti tweeted in part, it was projected that 1 in every 880 LA County residents were infected with COVID-19. Now it's estimated it's 1 in every 100.
See? Three, 4, 4. 2, 2. Let's see. 5. 14. So this comes up to 14. Right? 365. That's a 5. Altogether, one number 5, right? 6, 7, 8, 9, right? 9 and 5. 3 and 6 is a 9. 9 and 5, right? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 is a 5. So you got 2, 2, 4, 4, 5. Riddled with it all over. 4, 5. So this is a code right now. See? 88. See? I didn't even see that. I just realized that. I didn't realize that when I stopped it. See? 88. These are codes now. They're sending out. And we're going into the next. What are you going to do when they're knocking on your door saying, Daffy Duck has invaded your blood? What are you gonna do? I honestly, I'm trying to say I'm gonna be brave. That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna be brave. But if they're forcing you, and as you've seen some of the videos, they will force. What are we going to do? We're all kind of satisfied for the time being right now, right? It's coming.
45. We have to act now to slow the spread. Please stay home as much as possible. Well, the CDC says this afternoon, even if someone has contracted the virus and they had COVID, they should still get the vaccine because they don't know how long natural immunity lasts. And also, it's possible they could get reinfected. Reporting live.
Oh, man, you gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. In case you haven't realized, we have lost. They have won. It's done. It's a done deal. Hollywood won. Biden is your new puppet. And oh, I know what I wanted to say actually. So last night I was on the show with talking with Ramel on this Talk app, and we got cut off. We were talking for a while, and I got cut off, and immediately someone else came on, and he took the place. And I started talking to the guy. It was a white guy from, I don't know, it sounded like he was from Georgia or something like that. And I mean, he sounded nice and everything. I talked to him for a few moments, and then, you know, he made the mistake of saying him and his wife didn't want to go down south because of the COVID. And, you know, me being who I am, I immediately wanted to give the guy peace of mind. I wasn't trying to dictate to him or anything like that. I'm not a narcissist, and or anything like that. I'm not forcing. I'll give you the information and allow you to do what you want to do with it. That's the idea. And anyway, I was talking with him, and you know, you know me. Well, you don't know me, but if you've heard what I've been saying more or less about this Daffy Duck syndrome stuff, I mean, it's not. I don't. Yeah. Anyway, I can't say much about it because they'll cut you off now. But anyway, it's just not logical. None of it is. It's none of it is. If you didn't have Daffy Duck on, these things right here would absorb anything floating around for 12 hours. You get it? Anything floating around for 12 hours would have long done attached itself to these. And then, I mean, we'd all be constantly sick. Or more people would show. But, you know, again, common sense is something that we don't have too much of. And anyway, this guy, he told me he knew people that died. And I tried to explain to him that, you know, you need a coroner report to prove that. You can't just say someone died overnight without having a real report, which takes about 2 weeks. It's not, you know, that's another issue that I can't get into. It's going to take too long. But if you understand that, I mean, there's actually, I would imagine there's a whole lot of lawsuits out there pending against hospitals wrongfully labeling. Yeah, anyway, gotta be careful. This may be a censored, taken off the video, off the air thing. Anyway, so I explained to him what I explained. And anyway, in the end, this guy said to me, you know, and it's such an oxymoron because all along my travels when I was in Ethiopia and India, and especially Germany, people would say that, yeah, you're logical, you make sense, and I like what you're saying, but you are a dictator. You are a this. And there was a new word that he used for me. He used that I never heard before. You know, these new kids, they have new words now to describe just the old words, and it's the same thing. So in the end, I ended up saying to him, so are you calling me a narcissist? And not in a mean way, but I caught him, I guess I caught him off guard because the word that he used was just another word for narcissism, for dictatorship in that sense. And he just got stumped. And then he just said, oh, well, I got to go back to dinner now with my family, and he left. They're clever now. You know, they're trained now in a way to combat the deniers, no matter to some degree what level of knowledge they have of it. That's what this stuff right here is doing. It's giving the ignorant weapons to fight against those who know the obvious and are trying to say, hey, don't step on that nail, you know, that thing again. It can't be combated. This guy, it's an oxymoron that he should actually praise me and say what I'm saying makes sense. And I said everything from the doctors to the CDC. I said it all. And he listened to some degree. I give it to him. He listened, but in the end, he just cognitive dissonance, and he went back to his turkey, and that's cool. And anyway, I realized that, and at the same time, this is one of the biggest topics on this talk app, that one of the biggest shows, number one shows, they're talking about, there's major guys on there who actually are pretty good talkers, actually. If you listen to them, they're not just regular people, they're pretty good talkers. And they're convincing people that Daffy Duck, you know, you should, like, for instance, one guy was saying that, you know, you got to stop being, people have to stop being selfish, you know, even though I know it's a fake, but still there's people out there with health issues that could lead to this and that, so you should wear a Daffy Duck. And I'm thinking like, what kind of message is that, bro? I mean, but people listen to that, and that's, for some reason or another, it must be an easy way out. for thinkers not to think and just say, okay, that's good, I'll accept that and move on and let it be an explanation to anyone who competes against what the government or any of these people are saying. So I don't know. There is nothing to really be said. I mean, I myself, I'm amazed I even have 300 and some odd followers, but only on the average about 5 people check out the videos, and then I think it just climbs just for people just looking at the video and because of the titles and, you know, clicking off. I don't believe anyone's really watching them half the time. But I mean, I never watch the videos myself after doing this, posting them. I can't stand to watch or hear myself. But I see in the play count sometimes, and I look at it, and I think, like, that's interesting, and that's cool. I don't care if even one person checks it out. The idea is, what I'm pointing out is that, wait, what am I pointing out? What am I saying? Anyway, one of the other things I wanted to get across, my friend Ramel pointed out this guy, Joe Rogan. I never watched him that much, and I forgot why I never watched him. And I figured out, I remember now why I don't watch him. Joe Rogan is an antagonist. His position there is to know all the knowledge, and then in the end of it all, he'll sit there and tell you that he'll sit there and play the devil's advocate and say, but where's the proof? Where is the proof that people can fly? For instance, they were talking about the Bhagavad Gita. And it always seems to me that Joe Rogan picks someone who's very knowledgeable in the Bhagavad Gita or whichever, or this or that. And in this case, it's the Bhagavad Gita. My friend Ramel sent me a clip, and I watched the first few minutes of it, and I couldn't watch any more, because the guy who could speak in Sanskrit, he's really good and intelligent in, you know, in speaking the language and deciphering it to some degree. And you can't take that away. He's a learned person, and that's not what I'm here to saying anything wrong about. But the issue is that Joe Rogan is playing the antagonist. He's saying to this guy, but where's the proof of that Krishna flew in the air, and these devices could be ruled by sound, and I'm thinking, like, how could he not know that? Especially when it comes to sound, it's been proven since very early, since the last 100 years, that sound can make things. The vibration makes things hover without sound, without noise, but with a vibration. And then sometimes it is noise that causes things to hover or to levitate. You know, you should understand something about the Bhagavad Gita of India. It's a small excerpt of the Mahabharata, and what Joe Rogan did was question this guy, and this guy could not answer what Joe Rogan was getting at about proof about people flying in the air and using sound as weapons and all this other stuff. And I don't know, it's either limited knowledge or understanding of certain things, and they only grasp one thing and don't grasp another. I don't get it. But I could grasp exactly what they're talking about, but I could take it a lot further. So Joe Rogan was asking, where's the proof? And this guy couldn't come up with anything. This guy even responded and said to Joe Rogan that, you know, Joe Rogan, you always ask the hard questions, and I can't answer that for you. I can answer from my opinion, and his opinion, his opinion to me was just, it was common. It wasn't anything scientific or deep. And there's a reason for that, but I can't get into that here because I'll be called a racist if I do. But what I'm trying to say is that my understanding of what the past was explained in what I read in some of these old books. And it said that the days of Krishna was different. The atmosphere was different. The atmospheric pressure was different. The way plants grew in these times was of a different. It was just different. It wasn't of the times that we're living in now. We had ginormous trees that scraped the skyline, that would dwarf a New York City or any major city skyline, like as if we're ants. And this is not a fantasy. We had trees that were Goliaths, that would block out the sun all day, because that was the atmosphere that was then. The mountaintops that we look at are not mountains. They are treetops. They are tree stumps. Tectonic plates, yeah, okay, you believe that the earth is moving in such a way and pushing up. Sure, we have evidence after earthquakes, but it's not adding up. Why don't most of these earthquakes cause mountains in places that have earthquakes already that are flat? So, I mean, I think it's just common sense right now that we're not, because of the way we've been taught, we're just not making sense correctly. And I don't know, maybe it's the television, maybe, I don't know. I don't really know what it is, but I just know now that we've lost this fight. There's really nothing to do, nothing to say. It doesn't matter how much you believe it does not. I mean, there's a horrible price to pay. There has to be a horrible price to pay, because a vaccine that technically, and that could be just the great lie too. Maybe they've had this vaccine ready for more than 20, 30 years in the planning. And maybe that was bad planning on their part to say they just came out with it just now just because of this thing. I don't know. Either way, I'm not taking no Daffy Duck syndrome to cure me in any way that I don't need to be cured. There is no cure, and there is no such thing as healthy. No such thing. There is heal thyself, but there's no such thing as healthy. Anyway, we're just, again, the whole when I heard the Joe Rogan thing, I remembered why. And my advice to anyone, I mean, you could watch him. He has some interesting information, but they don't know the half of how those days were. I mean, I read text that said Buddha was 10 feet tall. He wasn't of regular stature. The Buddha was 10 feet tall. And this made me realize and think that there are images in Greece, in Egypt, of what it would seem to be giants holding lions, lions that roam Africa, those lions, main lions, those big ones that are big to us. But there are reliefs of and maybe even in Turkey also of and I think I'm talking about the Zoroaster, or is it, I don't know which one of those religions around there in Greece that, well, not religions, one of the many sects of religion that form, but they have images of what it looks to be like giant men holding a lion, not a cat, not a domestic cat, but a lion, holding him in their hands. And they made us think that it's just poetic and it's just art, or in some way, or it's symbolism. And it's not symbolism. They're showing that they were of giant stature. Those cats, those giant cats of the prairie, there were people bigger. We were giants to them at one point. And you need to look, and if you look at it closer, actually, I'm not going to say you look at it closer, because again, I came across a lot of this material way back when, and I can't remember half the stuff, only little minor things, and I took it for granted. But to some degree, I'm glad I remembered some of it. I don't know what to say anymore. There's nothing to say. I mean, there's nothing to do. They're having their way, and unless I don't know what, we need a miracle of some kind. Is the only thing I can see that's going to stop this. They're dead serious. They've been planning this for a long time, and they've won. They've won. So oh yeah, and then the also, again, I'm sorry about I keep going back and forth. See, that's what's wrong with having no one to talk with in such a way. But last night, Lord Epic had to correct me. And that's what I mean about talking to yourself, even talking through these videos. You need someone talking back and forth, even whether it's a man or a female, someone talking back and forth so you don't keep going. And honestly, in a real conversation, you'd be cut off, or you'd be asked a question, and your conversation, your direction of thought would go another way, and hopefully it would help the listener hear what you're trying to say. Anyway, concerning which one, the lions and the giants, and how it may have looked in the days of Krishna. And if you don't know who Krishna is in the Bhagavad Gita and Mahabharata, you should, just check it out, make it a part of your knowledge, because a lot of knowledge for ethnic people, I think, lies there in India also. Ethiopia and India had a relationship, and even Selassie said that 7,000 years ago, one of the cousins of his bloodline married a cousin of Krishna of India. It was a relationship that they had. So there was much trade going on. Anyway, we're just not told the half. And again, I don't know what the real purpose of me really, even what I'm doing. I know what I'd like to think I'm doing, but I don't know what I'm really doing here. I could be spreading misinformation. If I am doing that, I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to do that. I sincerely thought I was helping, but it's a possibility I'm probably doing more harm than helping. And I'm probably going to cut that down a little more, but just trying to offer an explanation with what Joe Rogan had said about the Bhagavad Gita, what he was trying to do. It kind of made me mad, because the guy, again, didn't defend the Bhagavad Gita at all. He was just some Caucasian dude that rehearsed Sanskrit really well and was able to recite it with, well, you could hear it with some poetic acting there. And I thought, nah, man. See, that's why I didn't watch Joe Rogan to begin with. And again, he wasn't able to defend what Joe Rogan was laying on him. And that's bothersome to me, because apparently the guy didn't come across the same information about, that we're living on a flat plane, and we have a roof over our heads. There's a firmament over our heads. It's not space. You got to understand how space works. If space worked the way they say it worked, then a lot of other things cannot work the way they're portraying it works. It's impossible. But again, those are things I can't get into, because they'll either censor it, or it's just such a long discussion to talk about how space works and how it does not work, and how rockets work and how they do not work. It's deep. It's deep. All I could tell you is take a bottle rocket, and understand that the bottle rocket needs balance. It needs balance. And that's why it has a long stick. It's not just to stick it in the ground so it could have a place to shoot off. It needs a certain length so that it'll shoot straight up in a balance. And rockets don't have that balance. They don't have even a gyro of some kind in the front. And you can't have force way in the back and nothing in the front. It's logical. You've seen it a lot of times where a rocket loses control and it goes spiraling. Not a rocket or a bottle rocket. It's deep, man. We've been CGI tricked more than we're willing to admit, and it's deep. It's just deep. The Bhagavad Gita happened thousands of years ago, apparently, and maybe not thousands of years. It could have been maybe 800 years ago that our atmosphere changed. 800 years ago that all those trees were cut down. 800 years ago that giants ruled and did something here. It could have been. We don't know. We honestly don't know. We've been taught and told, and it would seem logical, but there's a lot that's not actually logical, more than you're realizing, more than most of us realize. So if what I'm saying is I'm giving an explanation, if at all anything, for Joe Rogan, who, they love to get big names on there, and that's what people follow. And maybe every now and then, maybe they should get a common person in there and talking just smack with him, Maybe that's what he needs, but I don't know. I don't trust Joe Rogan at all. I don't trust what he's about, because he always does that same thing and he never seems to get past that. And I keep thinking, like, by now he should have gotten over that. He shouldn't keep doing that. And to me, that's an act. That's a trait. He keep doing it over and over. Either the guy's really ignorant. I mean, he's smart enough to read the Bhagavad Gita and other pieces of knowledge that most of us don't read, but he still can't seem to get over that hoop, that lump, that loop of saying, I don't know. I mean, it's not logical. Either he's never had a spiritual event happen in his life that made him say, no, there's more to this than we're being told, or he's an antagonist. He's a misinfo dude. He's misleading on purpose. I don't know, but I don't trust it. Trust your own self. Trust your own guide. Trust what you feel. Don't trust these other people too much. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking. But again, hopefully I didn't make that too wrong. I didn't mean to make that too long. But the days of the Bible, even the days. I mean, I even read also about Yahshua. I mean, there's a great possibility that we're being so kept in the dark that we may actually have like Jedi abilities. And I know I have a friend, Lord Epic, who says we had an argument about this. It wasn't really an argument about it. It was an argument between me and him, and I was telling him that I need proof from you. And at the time he wasn't able to show it, and I wasn't able to show it either. It was just a gentleman's argument, I should say. And it wasn't that I didn't believe. I've been toying with the idea of moving, telekinesis and all these things, psychic ability. I've experienced these things. I have my own proof that it is possible. So I don't debate that it's not possible. It is possible, but anyway, you know what? I'm not going to talk any more about this. I wanted to point out that video, and I ended up rambling on. Sorry if it took it on, but I just wanted to point that out, that it's coming. They're going to knock on our doors, and they're going to say, bend over. That's what they're going to say. Bend over. And are you going to bend over? Inshallah, none of you will. Inshallah, we will all find the strength not to. This is my prayer for everyone, to everything. I hope something comes and relieves all this somehow, some way. Otherwise, these people, this guy that was just talking, guys like that, they scare me when they talk about things like this. They're talking about this game here, and they're trying to break down all that, whatever. These guys are always trying to break down how, oh man. All right, yeah, you could do that, but, you know, anyway. Yeah, inshallah, I wish everyone the best, that we may come out of this.